A warm welcome to another edition of Breeding to Win. While racing certainly heating up here on the Highveld, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks for some exciting racing, obviously culminating into the Summer Cup, which takes place at Turfentine Racecourse on Saturday the 1st of December. But right now, let's take a look at what you can look forward to on tonight's show. We go back to Mauritius for the penultimate insert on our Racing in Paradise series. We chat to Vion Smith for the up-and-coming CTS Ready to Run sale. We catch up with John Freeman and we meet the new CEO of Phumelela, John Stewart. Grant and Fee have certainly put together a fantastic series of racing in Mauritius. Tonight we feature the penultimate insert on Racing in Paradise.
Mauritius has been one of my favourite countries to visit for many years, not only for its beautiful hotels, beaches, fine cuisine and friendly faces, but the Mauritians' enthusiasm for horse racing is second to none.
We're here at Champ de Mars racecourse in Mauritius, and of course this racecourse dates back to 1812 and is one of the oldest racecourses in the world. We'll be lucky enough to be filming in Mauritius for the week. We'll be catching up with everyone in the racing world, from the owners, the jockeys, the trainers, the stewards, and of course we'll be enjoying some of the great Mauritian hospitality.
Well, it's all very organised here in the jockey's room before the first at Champ de Mars, and I'm sitting here in Robbie Frad's spot. He's got everything ready, his goggles are lined up, his silks for the day, his weight cloths, everything is all ready for Robbie to arrive and kick off for races. Akmal Baloo started his racing career in South Africa, and he's now riding in Mauritius and doing very well by all accounts. Akmal, you went through your time at the South African Jockey Academy. It must have been quite different coming to Mauritius.
Yes, especially my first year here after my apprenticeship. It's quite hard. It's not an easy track to get used to. And competition is very high here, so I'm getting used to it and I'm learning with every races and taking it slow. So hopefully I come out of here with nice experience.
It's quite a small track, probably a little bit smaller than you're used to, and is the pace a lot different?
Yeah, because it's a small track and it's very tight, they intend to go a little bit slow downhill, and they get their horses nice and settled, and then get going quite early, because the turn is the straight is only like half 250 meters, so it's very tricky. So you must just learn the pace and get your horses settled down, and if you're in the right place and right time, your horse got a chance here.
Dan Murden is a very big owner here on the island of Mauritius, and he's with me now in the parade ring. Dan, I've heard lots about you. You've got some very good horses.
Well, we are lucky. I think it's a matter of luck. We bought horses because our passion. It's just out of passion. Took some time. Yeah. Today we got 14 horses running. Good shape. Yeah, we got to pick up winners. We're happy.
That's a lot of horses on one day, and I believe you love to have a little bet too, and that's also quite successful.
Yeah, just owner's bet, because normally we are in racing just for the passion. We really rely on the stakes money to sort of even our expenses, but an owner's bet once in a while is okay. But it's not the betting, it's the passion of winning. It is the most important thing.
And which stable are you involved with?
Simon Jones stable.
Oh, that's wonderful. We got to meet Simon the other day. What a fun trainer.
He is. He was a jockey. He's a horseman. He's a lover of horses. The animal counts first, and that's what owners want. Somebody that takes care of the animal, the feed, the keep, the vet, things like that. Somebody that's genuinely involved, not at that part of gambling, but more at that horses being happy, and that's what owners want.
Sean Ip is a very busy man to get hold of, and we can't thank him enough for all his help during our stay here in Mauritius. Sean, it's a very, very busy time of year for you.
Now, pleasure for me too.
You're in charge of communication and events. Very busy time.
Yes, it's very busy during racing time here in Mauritius, because the race goes from week to week, and you have to organize everything. Not only the Race Time magazine that I'm editing, but also all the organization that you have at the Mauritius Turf Club behind the scenes. I mean, the shows that we have here, and to look after the sponsors. So it's very, very busy.
And you've got a busy day. You've got all the tourists here today. It's quite busy upstairs.
Yeah, it is busy, especially in the Crown Lodge, where my friend Jacques Ritter looks after the tourists. I mean that they come very often to the Champ de Mars to have a look, because they know that it is one of the oldest racetrack that we have in the world. So this is why they come, and they're very fascinated of what they see.
And it's super to see the passion in everyone here on the island. They love their horse racing.
Yes, they love it very much, because in a family here in Mauritius, 3 out of 5 will follow horse racing. And if you are in the horse racing industry, you're as popular as anyone.
I think it's a wonderful course. Your private suites are second to none, and everyone's got a beautiful view of the winning post. It really is racing fantastic.
You don't have to follow horse racing from the television. You just have a look outside and you can see the whole race.
And of course, us tourists and us as visitors, we absolutely love it here, because we've had a really great week on the island, and the hospitality has been amazing. And we haven't had the greatest of weather this week, but that's unusual. But we've still managed to pack plenty of things in, and everyone is so welcoming.
Yes, Mauritius is a very beautiful country. Mauritius, we get along together. We have different communities, different religions here, but we get along together very well. Just look at the Champ de Mars. There's no other place in Mauritius that can attract 10,000 to 15,000 people per week. And it is in good harmony. It is in a very good ambiance. The atmosphere is good. And whether you lose or you win, you have the same atmosphere. It's fantastic.
2018 CTS Ready to Run sale takes place at Durbanville on the 23rd of November. The Breeding to Win team catches up with the CEO of CTS, Vian Smith.
Well, it's a very busy time of year for Cape Thoroughbred sales, and it's been a while since we've had an update. And with me today is Vian Smith from Cape Thoroughbred Sales to chat about the upcoming sales. Vian, very, very busy time of year.
Yes, absolutely. We're only a couple of months away from the Ready to Run sale. Actually, not a couple of months, more like a couple of weeks and a couple of months. And then straight on to the Cape Premier Yearling sale in January. So really our two flagship events within quite a short time of each other.
Well, the Ready to Run sales catalogue looks to absolutely ooze quality. It's a very good catalogue.
I think so. You know, I guess it sounds like sales talk, and I guess it has to be sales talk to an extent. But from my perspective, just looking at the pages, it's very strong, and it's got a beautiful distribution of stallions and a relatively small catalogue. But from a buyer's perspective, I think that's a huge advantage. You know, there's with 117 horses on the catalogue and still 2.5 million rand to race for a year from now. It makes a lot of sense. In terms of odds, you're going to have 16 horses in the race next year, so you've got almost a 15% chance just on numbers of getting a horse in the race.
No, it's a great opportunity as well for the people that buy from a Ready to Run sale with all those races on offer as well.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of these horses would have come from the CTS yearling sales, which means that those horses are already qualified for the CTS Millions races, which is going to be 10 million rand, the 5 million rand races in January 2020. So a lot of reasons to buy for sure.
Absolutely, you're on to a win with that alone.
Absolutely.
But the Breeding to Win team, we're lucky because over the next few weeks we will get round to see some of these horses and hopefully some of them in action, because obviously they'll be cantering and getting ready for the gallops at Durbanville.
Yes, absolutely. It's only, as I said, only 6-7 weeks away now from the sale, so those horses will all be in work and be prepared for those gallops. What we also decided to do this year is, instead of having the gallops on the Thursday and the sale on the Friday, we've decided to combine everything onto the Friday, as we feel that just creates some extra hype around that day, and it allows a greater group of people to be able to attend both the gallops and the sale. I think last year and previous years we had instances where people could make either the Thursday or the Friday and not both, and having it all on one day, we feel is going to give a greater group of people the opportunity of seeing both.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea, because you do get a nice vibe at the gallops. It would be nice just to carry that over into the sale. Sounds like it's a really good idea.
Absolutely. People shortlist horses based on what they see at the gallops as well, but there'll be a significant gap. There'll be at least a 6-hour gap between the end of the gallops and the start of the sale, so there'll be ample time to re-inspect horses and to finalise those buying lists.
But still fresher in the mind from the gallops. Hopefully the better the purchase. Now, it won't be long after the Ready to Runs that you've got to start thinking about the Cape Premier Yearling sales, and I know that Badger Pritchard Gordon was on the show. He was here doing some of the early inspections, but you've got the final inspections coming up for that catalogue.
Yeah, so the final inspections are now at the end of October. We've already gone through the catalogues and also the pedigrees and the notes from the inspections team in quite a bit of detail. And again, I think we've got a very strong catalogue coming up in January. A lot happens around in terms of development of these horses at this time of the year, and it's going to be interesting to hear what Kerry and John Kramer say in terms of how these horses have developed since they first saw them at the beginning of September. But we're looking to finalise the catalogue, early November at the latest, to get the printed catalogue ready for end of November, where when we do a bit of an international tour to get to Europe and to the east and get catalogues in people's hands.
It must be such a benefit for the buyer having all these inspections, because they've been thoroughly inspect these yearlings from when they're just really rough and ready going through, and I mean you've got a quality yearling going on that sale.
Absolutely, there's almost that minimum guarantee of quality, and it shows on the results. If you look at historically, the Cape Premier Yearling sale has produced 10% stakes winners to runners, which is if we know how difficult it is to find a stakes winning horse, and to have a 1 in 10 chance of buying a stakes winning horse really just that illustrates just how important it is to go through these selections processes and ensure a minimum quality of horse for the sale.
And it's an absolutely magnificent sale. I mean, even when we did our interview with Badger Pritchard Gordon, he said that worldwide it's just such a beautifully put together sale. It really is fantastic, and the venue, the convention centre, is perfect.
It is a great event, and I think it's now, firmly part of the international sales roster. We started a little earlier this year in terms of contacting some of the, particularly the international buyers, just given the expense involved to get to South Africa, and particularly around that time of year, in the middle of summer in Cape Town, and the response has just again been amazing, and I think we're going to have. Everyone that's been here in the past will certainly be here again, and there'll be new people. Badger's been brilliant. He loves South Africa, I think, as was very clear from the interview on Breeding to Win that he did at the end of that selection strip. And it's been wonderful, just the amount of people that he's referred us to, and there just seems to be a great amount of positivity about South Africa at the moment. And as with export protocols, the advances being made in export protocols, it feels like the world is ready to take a punt on South Africa. And it's, as you said, it's such a great event. It's in the middle of summer in Cape Town. We've also moved the sale closer to the Met now. So whereas the sale used to be the weekend before the Sun Met, it's now on the Wednesday and Thursday before the Met, which again gives people the opportunity to come do the sale and go to the Met without having to stay in Cape Town for too long, for the out-of-towners. So yes, absolutely looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be as strong as ever.
Yeah, the dates are absolutely perfect. I noticed that it had moved, and I mean, it's such a wonderful time of year. We will have all the international people here. We've got the excitement of the races. We've got the sales. It's just a magical time of year. It brings everything together.
It really does, yes.
And it looks to be obviously a strong catalogue. You've seen the pedigrees, you've seen some of the horses. Really exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. There's a very large proportion of the horses are from, firstly from the top South African size, and then again quite an international flavour. We've got a number of Frankels on the sale again. There's a few Camelots. I think there's 2 Uncle Mo's. I remember seeing a Zoffany, so real international flavour from a size perspective, and just again a whole host of horses. Full brothers and sisters to Group 1 winners, yearlings out of Group 1 winners. But perhaps I shouldn't say too much about the catalogue before we've actually finalised the catalogue.
But I'm sure it's going to be a fabulous catalogue. And going forward, last year you had another sale in March. I believe that won't be happening this year.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that have contributed to the decision. They certainly, from our perspective, I mean, it's no secret that we've been through quite a tumultuous time in the South African industry, and specifically at Cape Thoroughbred sales with everything that's happened in the last year. And we've to a large extent gone back to the drawing board as to what exactly we are and what do we want to offer. And we from the outset we were always a niche sales company with a Cape Premier Yearling sale. No doubt about that being our flagship event. The Ready to Run sales become a real success, and it promotes trade. So having the Ready to Run sale as a successful secondary sale really promotes the idea of buying horses as pinnocks from our Cape Premier Yearling sale. In terms of other sales during the year, we are strongly considering doing a select mare and fillies in training sale, and that would be in the winter months, but no firm decisions on that yet. And then we've always had the March Book 2 sale, and which in the past has, I think, really served particularly the Western Cape breeders very well, as an alternative to travelling horses elsewhere. Bloodstock South Africa have ever moved their February sale into the March slot, which put us in a predicament as to do we now go back to scheduling a sale a week before or a week after a Bloodstock South Africa sale, and that essentially I just don't think that serves anyone. It doesn't serve our vendors, it doesn't serve our buyers, and it's just not what we want to do. So the decision was made to not have the March sale, given that there is another sale in March, and we don't feel that the market is big enough or strong enough to support 2 sales in March. So at this stage, our plan for 2019 is to do our full focus is on the Cape Premier Yearling sale, to build on the sale that has become, and continue to build on that, and the Ready to Run sale at the end of the year, and a fillies in training, fillies off the track, and select mare sale in the middle of the year.
Sounds a perfect plan, and well done to you and the whole team at CTS, because you've really kept going strongly and keeping this sale alive and very special.
No, it is. I think I can really thank all the CTS staff for the huge contribution in the last while, and there's been a dogged determination to build on what's been built before us, and and our shareholders have been enormous in their continued eagerness and willingness to support the sale, and their belief in the sales company as a long-term not only player but leader in the industry in terms of running thoroughbred sales. So we're excited about the future.
And not only do you sell fantastic horses, I always have to touch on the hospitality, because it's more than just a horse sale. We really enjoy coming to the CTS sales.
No, it really is, and I think that's what's set us apart, and that's what keeps bringing people back. And the fact that we've built a reputation of really looking after our clients and putting on an event that people really want to attend, and then back that up with 10% stakes winners to catalogued horses at the Cape Premier Yearling Sale kind of makes it a no-brainer of a sale to be supporting as a buyer.
Well, I must compliment you, Vian. The CTS sales company is very professionally run, and I always love coming to your sales, and I'm really looking forward to the sales season ahead, and we'll see you out at Durbanville in November for the Ready to Run.
Thanks, Vi.
It's always good to catch up with Vian Smith, and especially hear all about Cape Thoroughbred sales season this year. We've got the Ready to Run coming up in November, and of course we've got the CTS Cape Premier Yearling sale coming up in January on the 23rd and 24th, just before the big Met Day, and I'm really looking forward to that with all the international visitors. It really is a busy sales season ahead.
Ici, la police qui va enlever l'Arc de Triomphe, 5e victoire dans la course pour Frankie Lettori.
Is storming home, one of the last possible gasps for the judge and Thriller.
What a finish to the Melbourne Cup. Brave is under pressure when they turn in. It's been a relentless run cup. Who's going to be the last man standing?
Battling on two, then Wings of Eagles, Cliffs of Moha, Wings of Eagles swooping though, and Wings of Eagles gets up to win.
His 3,000th winner.
Vodacom Durban July.
Touting Sansui Summer Cup.
John Freeman has over 40 years' experience in the racing industry. He's one of South Africa's top stallion managers and sales consultants. The Breeding to Win team catches up with John Freeman.
Well, it's a very busy time of the year, and once we get foaling season over, of course, it's all focus on the stallions, and you need to be getting your stallion shares sorted out very quickly. And with me this morning is John Freeman to chat to us about all those wonderful stallions. John, it's lovely to have you on the show once again. Thank you for chatting to us this morning.
Thanks, Fee. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Now, we've got lots of old boys that are sort of getting on a bit or on their way out, but the young stock, the young stallions are absolutely fantastic, aren't they? And already doing really well.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for young stallions, really, because the old boys are, well, our Cap Nell's deceased last year, sadly, and horses like Trippy and Silvano and VAR and the older boys are all limited in what they can cover and getting on. So their future is restricted by their lifespan. I'm sure they can cover it for, hopefully, for more years. Dynasty being a bit younger, hopefully will enjoy his life yet because he's 18. but he's 4 years younger than the two other older boys. If you're looking at the new stallion list and the size of 3-year-old, looking at the current stats for the current season, second place is Karari. Well, he's a relatively new sire, so that's very exciting. Then you've got What a Winter, Master of My Fate, Give Me the Green Light, Twice Over, Jackson, and Pathfork. Pathfork's doing incredibly well and stands for fantastic money. And then, of course, my big thing is that getting people to understand that the new sires who haven't yet had runners are the ones to go for, because they are the future. You know, you can't get into Karari, What a Winter, Master of My Fate, Give Me the Green Light, and Twice Over, ready full. Breeders just don't want to take the chance of going to an unproven sire. It's all commerciality driven. I remember when we were battling to prove Dynasty, his numbers fell from, he had 51 mares in his second crop, foals in his second crop, 45 in his third crop, 34 in his fourth crop, and he had to pull himself up by his own socks, which is really quite an achievement. And his father was very much like that as well, because, you know, Fort Wood only had 40 foals in his first crop, 37 in his second crop, and 42 in his third crop. So people believe that it's a numbers game, and that if you don't have 100 foals, you're not going to do it. Well, proof of the pudding is, if you take old stallions like Iliador, 14 foals, 10 foals, and 5. From the first 14 foals, he got Model Man. I'm trying to tell breeders, it's not a numbers game. If the quality is there, they're going to do it. Doesn't matter whether they do it with 30, 40, or 50. Obviously, if you've got 50 foals, your chances of getting more stakes winners is that relevant. Frankly, the market is so desperate about just being commercial, and we must remind them that sires like Wiley Hall, who's about to have his first 2-year-olds, he cracks a stakes winner from his first crop. Suddenly, they'll all be in the queue waiting for him.
Yeah, absolutely, it's all about fashion and what's fashionable.
Yeah, and you know, for me, the big thing is that a horse like Futura, who, like his father, was a horse of the year. He won 3 Equus Awards, won 4 Group 1 races, and set a track record over 1,800 meters in a Group 1 Champions Cup. You can't get better than that. There's very few stallions in South Africa who won 4 Group 1 races.
And going back to Dynasty, of course, he's now a sire of sires.
It's a legacy.
Doing phenomenally
Fort Wood
well.
Dynasty, come from Sadler's Wells. That line has done South Africa incredibly well.
It's lovely seeing the progeny run and how a stallion stamps them. And we've seen some Jacksons doing particularly well lately.
He is, yeah. And you know, one wouldn't have expected him to have got early runners, because he himself was a mature classic horse. We'll see the best of them yet.
I think we're very lucky in this country. As you said, we've got the old boys that are sort of drifting out, but we really have got a solid band of young stallions.
There's a very nice spread of young stallions. As I said, we've got 6 of the top 10 stallions currently over all ages. Hope springs eternal. You know what they say, no man ever committed suicide with an unraced 2-year-old in his yard.
Yeah, it's something to be very proud of, to have that many stallions on your books and doing so well. And you gave me some news in the week about Legislate. I believe he's managed to get a mare in foal. Things have turned around. His
first mare is tested in foal. Vaughan, you know, the problem he had with his fertility was not expected. And once again, there's a horse of the year. His first crop of foals is spectacular. There are not many of them, but Vaughan Costa, who bred the horse, asked to be given a chance to stand him, and he gave us this brilliant news that, so we've there again, you know, told breeders 5,000 rand, no life, no deposit, all life foal, a great opportunity for a breeder to breed a nice horse.
Absolutely, because what a racehorse Legislate was.
Yeah, he was. And I have to tell you that the guys that have got them are really raving about them, the way they look. They only run as good as they look, frankly, because otherwise they don't get a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was at the recent Drakenstein Stallion Day, and the stallions were looking absolutely out of this world.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the way Futura looked there, didn't you see that day?
It looked absolutely remarkable.
It's grown so beautifully.
Looked really well. Now, for people wanting to get involved in your stallions, they must give your office a call?
Yeah, we've got shares for sale in stallions. I would say our market is a bit soft right now, but that was to be expected with the economy being what it is, and you know, the fallout from a big owner having a dispersal. I think that was the biggest knock our industry's ever had. But it's resilient, and you know, the game is much bigger than any individual, or any individuals really. It's 300 and something thoroughbreds, something like 340 years old. It's been through tough times, wars and what have you, and it'll always be there. And we have a very vibrant industry. I'm looking forward to the Cape Summer season, a mixture of Johannesburg, big races coming up. And you know, there's always people with passion and love for a horse. A lot of them aren't just here to make money. But having said that, the opportunities to make money in our industry are massive right now, because I'm trying to buy horses for overseas market. And you won't believe the owners that have got them on telephone numbers for them. I mean, serious telephone numbers. What they're getting for horses that won barrier trials in Durban right now makes yearling sales look like a really good place to buy a horse.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to the sales. We've got the silly sales season coming up, because we've got the Ready to Run, and then we've got the Cape Premier yearling sale in January, and hopefully we'll be seeing some of these wonderful stallions' progeny on those sales.
Well, I hope to talk to you later about the Ready to Run sale again, because Wiley Hall's got a very nice crop of his youngsters on there, and I think there's 7 or 8 of them, and his first 2-year-olds running this season, so we're looking forward to seeing them.
And of course, going back to the July, we've already spoken on the show, but you had that wonderful success with Twice Over winning the July, and I'm sure he'll be out again in the Cape Summer season. It's really exciting times ahead.
I hope so too, yeah. He's actually, being a gelding, you know, there's obviously a lot of hope for the horse to progress.
Yeah, well, John, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us this morning and give us an update on all these stallions. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of their offspring out and about in the future. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Julie Alexander, and yet we're here with John Stewart. A great privilege to be able to chat to him, recently appointed as the Group CEO for the Phumelela Group. John, we're here at Turfentine at Equinity Day. Now let's just start with that first, and we'll go into your background in racing, because I've known you for a long time. I think I started in 1992 and you were already in the game then as well. But Equinity is a very new thing. I think I went to the last one, or the first one here last year. Fantastic initiative and really bringing different people to the game.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, let's be honest, I don't think the purists will love it because it is quite noisy, but it is aimed at a different target market, and if we don't try something, we'll never know. So we just have to try that market.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things was they actually have cameras and speakers in all different aspects of the course, so you really are bringing the action to the people as well. But let's get back into your new role. Now, as I said, you've been in the game for a long time. Your first position was the tote.
Yeah, the first position in the tote, joined the TAB in what was then TAB Natal in 1979 as internal auditor. Filled various roles with them, then had to go to the army for 2 years, came back, and obviously I think I was accountant when I left, so they couldn't have 2 years without having an accountant, so I got back to no job. But I became the assistant to the operations manager. And then about 2 years later, he got promoted to GM, and I got promoted to operations manager. Left there in about 1996, moved up here with the corporatization process. Worked on the tote side of it, first business development, but that was a slow rollout in terms of LPMs and all of those initiatives. Then worked on the tote side, and then 2004 joined the Lake Derrick Wood in the international side of the division. And tragically, he was killed in 2006, and I took over from him. So yeah, it's been a long road. It's next year I think it's 40 years. It's like a lifetime.
John, let's go back a couple of years, because obviously you were heavily involved in the commingling process, which was a massive jump for racing here as well, plus the nationalising of the tote in South Africa. but the international side of things has certainly grown. It's been a really fundamental part of the Phumelela business now.
Yeah, well, it's not only Phumelela business, it's also Gold Circle and Kenilworth Racing. The racing is pulled into one product, and that's the strength of the product. We've got flat racing that goes out every day, consistent racing, good racing. So yeah, that gives us that basis to take the product internationally. We started the process, we started import. Let me go back a while. In the 1990s, South African horse racing was exported to CIS in the UK, but only the UK. It wasn't looked at anywhere else in the world. And then 2004, with the late Derek Weed and Brian Mell, who I still play golf with occasionally, by the way.
Okay.
Still very well. They saw this absolute potential of exporting and importing racing. So we started 2004 importing and looking to take our product internationally. Things really worked well for us, and right now we export to about 46 different countries. Our picture, live horse racing picture, to either bookmakers or websites or other totalizators. And sure, that should earn for South Africa this year in excess of 350 million. So.
Jeez. Now, a couple of the initiatives, obviously, we had Hong Kong betting into the pools on some of our big days, and I hosted a couple of those events as well. They seem to be absolutely massive, those pools.
Now, Hong Kong is amazing. I mean, funny, they're not the biggest tote by any stretch of imagination. Japan is by far the biggest, but Hong Kong is massive, and yeah, if you can crack it into that market, it's very, very good. Unfortunately, they are restricted in terms of the number of races that they can import, and they generally take only races that got an international stature, or has got one of their runners or jockeys in it. So we've been very fortunate to get a couple of our races across there.
Now, some of the pools were massive. I think they were in the region of 20-odd million rand, some of those win pools.
Yeah. Listen, the turnover on our the 12 races we ended up exporting in total over the year averaged about 25,000 Hong Kong dollars per race, which is equivalent to what they achieve on any of the best product from around the world. So that was a great start for us, yeah, and we're looking to build on that.
Fantastic stuff. Now, obviously, your new role, and you've obviously taken it at quite an interesting time in the racing industry, and that and lots of things happening, a lot of exciting things happening behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I think, Grant, listen, the commercial side of the business, Rian has done a very good job for us. He's left it in a good state. Now it's for us to take and grow that. I think probably where we lost the ball, so to speak, was a little bit in our engagement with horse racing. You know, we are partners in this business, and I certainly want to get that relationship back on track again and look to work with racing to make sure that we've got a strong product in South Africa.
Well, you've always been involved. You enjoy watching the racing. You go to most of the race meetings as well. So you've been a big, avid horse racing fan as well yourself. Yeah,
I listened to my first July handicap in 1963. Okay, it is dating me now. But I remember my late dad, he backed a horse called Ptolemy. And we listened it on one of those radiograms. I don't know if you remember, they had those two big speakers on the side and the recorder, the record player on the top and the dials at the bottom. And I'll never forget, he backed Ptolemy as a 3-year-old, and he got beaten into third by another 3-year-old, a great Colorado King, which exported to the USA and won Group 1 races there. Fantastic. So yeah, it goes back a long, long time. Now, obviously, you've probably gone through the time where you still had the old dissemination service. So in terms of technology, I mean, Teletrack today is one of the leading network stations around in terms of coverage and growing all the while. I think Rob Scott's done a great job in bringing a lot of internationalization in terms of branding the races, the big days, and I think certainly from that aspect, racing's gone miles. No, it is. I mean, listen, when I started, everything was manual. Yeah. You know, the jackpot tickets were all duplicate, and they went into locked boxes, and they got transported to a sorting center. Then you had a collation center to work out your combinations of duplas in those days, yeah, and doubles, and etc. So from the manual days to computerization, and from computerization to getting the sound into the outlets, and then the racing used to be Wednesdays and Saturdays only. Yeah. So the rationalization of the racing program in South Africa was a very good initiative. So we had racing from Monday through Sunday. And then, yes, then the advent of the totes who could open all day. Yeah. People still argue, why don't we get 30,000 people at the track on a Wednesday anymore? Well, I said, well, 30 years ago, the only place you could have a bet on a Wednesday afternoon was at the track. The call center was closed, the betting shops were closed. And then we got Teletrack. And then, of course, that went into homes and to pubs and clubs and what have you. So it's far easier to sit in a club 45 kilometers away than drive down here. So, yeah, it's been a massive change. I think Teletrack has done a great deal for the good for the business. I think we cover something like 27,000 races a year now, starting at like 8 o'clock in the morning, finishing at about 10:30 at night. The range from Australia all the way through to the US. So it really has, I think, brought the racing product to the people.
You've been known to say that now with your new role, you are open door policy. If people want to come chat to you, that you're available, you're listening to criticisms as well as advice and as well as suggestions. And obviously going forward now in this new role of yours, John, and like I said to you, it's not the easiest role because you've got so many different role players. You've got the shareholders and they wanting a dividend. You've got the horse racing owners who want stakes increase. So you've got quite a wide portfolio of people to try please.
Yeah, listen, and it's not only that. I mean, we're talking about in our whole group, probably about 7,500 employees, plus you've got about 2,700 grooms. So you're talking about 10,000 people. That's without the jockeys and the trainers and the breeders and the grooms that work at the breeders' establishment. So it's a massive organization if you think of that term. So for me, it's a huge responsibility. And sure, the racing side we got to fix. We all understand that the costs, the implication of increasing costs is that's the impact that's having on ownership and what it ultimately the effect will have on the business. So we've got to find ways of getting stakes increased. And sure, yeah, as a director of a listed company, your job is to grow the business. And the only way you grow those businesses is to make sure you make good profits and pay good dividends. So yeah, there is a balance, but I think we can juggle between the two. And if we focus on improving the lot of horse racing, I think a lot of the other stuff commercially will come right anyway.
Absolutely. You've got obviously a long-going, wouldn't say a dispute with some of the bookmakers as well. That's something that's probably high up on your agenda as well.
It is. Listen, regardless what anyone thinks, the bookmakers do need to contribute more. But I can happily say that Rob's been engaging with them on a different solution. And that's probably going to go to, with a bit of luck, to mediation before Christmas. And we hope to have a solution coming out of that.
Well, I think that'll be fantastic news for everybody in the industry. So obviously, a whole heap of challenges for you in the new role, but you seem to be embracing them and looking forward to it.
No, it's a completely different job. You know, the international job, I mean, we got so good at it. At the end of the day, it kind of ran itself almost. It became more of a CRM. And then trying to open new markets. But this one is more of engaging with people all the time, whether it be employees or even groundsmen here at Reinkiesfontein, for example. So I've touched a lot of those spaces up in the 6 weeks that I've been in this role now. But I aim to walk every track. I've already walked Turffontein. I'll walk every other track that we are own or we manage, and we'll visit every one of our outlets, and that will be an ongoing program. I won't be an office-bound CEO. I'll be out of there. I'll be talking to the people and getting the feel for the business.
Well, from us at Breeding to Win, John, we certainly wish you all the best, and we know that you've got the experience, you've got the relationship with a lot of people as well, and we wish you everything of the best. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Grant.
Thanks very much. Well, that was John Stewart. We certainly look forward to his role as the CEO of Phumelela Group, and I'm sure that we'll see plenty of changes coming forward, and they'll be for the better, we're sure as well. We wish John every success going forward.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Breeding to Win. Join us next week for more Breeding to Win action. From Grant Knowles, Fiona Ramsden and myself, Julie Alexander, until next week, goodbye.